Hello everybody, it is Marty McConnell, the Off-Grid Gecko. I need to take this stupid thing off. I just got back from town where I bought some lighters. So apparently Walmart had some kind of deal on these, so I got 2 7-packs of Scriptos for $4 combined, and $2 a pack, not bad. And it got me thinking that I probably need to do a video on my little emergency fire kit, which is going to be in the process of being upgraded here pretty soon, but I'll just show you what I'm working with for the moment. So got my pack here, and of course I've got little fat wood pieces attached as poles on the major handles that I yank on to get. This one's to get to my weapon, this one's to get to my food and my gear. But aside from that, my actual fire kit is in the little cell phone pocket up here. So let's crack it open and see what's inside. If I open this up, I can actually fit quite a bit in this little thing. So the first thing that falls out, I've got a little baggie with 3 sticks of fat wood in it. These are all home processed from the woods. And just pull them out and I keep them. And then another thing that falls out almost instantly is a little lighter. This is a Scripto. I think these are all Scriptos. Yep. And then of course I've got my handy dandy Ferro Rod. And I've got a chunk of flint. This is a Texas chert. These tend to work a little better even with ferro steel than the back of a knife, so keep that little bugger around for that. And then I've got my actual fire pack kit, as it were, which is basically the same thing. This has got 2 lighters, 1 ferro rod, and then it's got the addition of a couple alcohol swabs in the back for tinder material if you can't find any tinder. And that's it. Pretty simple kit. Start a fire using stuff that I find in the woods if I need to. I still need to work some proficiency up at that skill, but this is my default go-to backup, and it's in a little water. It's in a Ziploc bag. And the Ziploc bags I find are not 100% reliable as far as waterproofness, but I figure that's more than enough stuff in this little pouch. The reason I wanted to bring this up is a fire kit doesn't have to be super crazy. I am going to be adding some more tinder and stuff because I'm producing fat wood and I'm making different things like pine resin and pine tar, so I've got a lot of leftover materials that are really excellent fire starters, and so I'm going to start incorporating those into here eventually. Right now they just kind of hang around the house. The real reason I wanted to do this video is twofold, and the first fold of those two is fire steel versus lighter. Okay. I would say if you're just trying to get going and you want fire covered fast and you don't want to have to dork around with a bunch of crap, go and buy yourself a little lighter. Test it. Most stores don't care if you go ahead and fire it up right before you walk out, just to make sure that it actually flicks and it lights. If it doesn't, grab a different one off the thing. You're allowed to flick it one time in most places. They're not gonna have a huge issue with that. These can be had for about $1.50, something like that. Just get one. They're incredibly lightweight. They're pretty darn durable. And as somebody who's been smoking for about 25 years, these little guys don't let me down very often. Okay, and that's going to bring me to the next point in a minute. Now, as far as ferro steels go, people buy these and they usually buy them as expensively as possible, which means they got a little steel, it's got some kind of little hand holder thing on it, it's got a little sparking rod, it's got a little box that's got some of those Surefire tab things in it, and you get this whole kit, and it's really great. You got all that stuff, but it's also like 30 bucks. Just these steel rods by themselves don't cost tremendously much unless you go for the big jumbo size ones. And in my experience, it's better to have a couple smaller ones like this than one jumbo sized one, just because by the time you get to wearing all this material off, if you press too hard, you'll start to get little bumps on here, and as time progresses, those bumps get worse. They never get better, okay? Unless you take it to a belt sander and literally just sand it back to smooth, you're going to have those bumps and they're going to create problems. So getting something that's like 3/4 of an inch thick to me is just pointless. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you have a different opinion on that, that's fine, but for me, these little ones that are about 1/4 of an inch to 3/16 or 3/8 of an inch, somewhere in there, it's really good sizes for these. So pros and cons of each. This will not light readily if you get it wet. If you don't believe me, take it, toss it in a fish tank, pull it back out, and try and light it. Now, I'll get to that in a minute. These will reliably toss a spark even when they are wet. And if you have anything around like a knife, most people want to use the back of their knife to do this so they don't mess up their knife. If you have a sharpener for this reason exactly, it can actually be better to just go ahead and take the blade and scrape. You don't have to press as hard and you get a reliable spark. The way to use these, of course, is to hold the blade fixed in one hand, hold this up to it in the other hand at a 90-degree angle or less, and just pull back on the sparker. You'll get a nice big spark right in front of your knife, and it's less chance that you're going to slam down into your tinder bundle that you're trying to catch and make it explode all over the place and then have to build it again. That will, over time, dull your knife, but as you become proficient with this, it's not going to be that big of an issue when you need a fire to save your life, and this is all you have. For handles, I find that a little rubber band wrapped around the end is more than enough. Wrap it on there tight enough that it's got a good solid hold on it, and that's all I need for mine. I try to keep these small and not do anything too fancy with them. Now with lighters, as far as them getting wet, they dry out fairly quickly. The top of this is mostly disassemblable, and you can dry them out. So shake it out, blow it out, but the biggest trick is to take it and put it, and we'll use this as a fabric, but normally I do this on my jeans. Just pop that roller on there and run this back and forth with a little bit of pressure. If you do this on your jeans or your pant leg, you just do that until you start seeing sparks come out, and once the sparks are out, then you're good to go again. You got a light. It doesn't have to be super complicated, and people have been criticizing the hell out of little portable lighters like this on the internet now for years, right? And I've been using one of these for 25 years plus to light roughly 7,000 fires a year, by just smoking. It's a bad habit, right? But I have a lot of experience with these. I've used them in cold and wind and snow and everything else. Now, the other part of the argument is which brand to get, because, brand wars and stuff. I picked up these Scriptos today because they're cheap, and generally I don't have too many problems with Scriptos. I have had failures with these where the wheel came off, different parts broke on it. You've got this little twisty knob here to adjust the flame, which for some reason is needed on these lighters, and it's not needed on a Bic, because Bics are either self-adjusting or they've got their stuff figured out to the point where they don't need this little adjustment knob. So that can be a little weird, especially when it gets low. You actually have to remove the metal shield so that you can inch that guy forward and get a little more out of that valve by opening it up a little further to get the last week or so of light out of it. But on the whole, they're incredibly cheap. So $4, I got 14 lighters. Do the math. I mean, that's like 3.5 lighters per dollar. Okay, or about 30 cents per lighter, roughly 28 cents, something like that. Bics tend to be more expensive, but even so, you can get a 5-pack for about $5. So if I were gonna recommend a brand, because I've used them all, pretty much any type of cheap lighter in the world I've used, from torches to Zippos to real Zippos and fake Zippos of all kinds, to I've used blow torches to light my cigarette. I've used a gas stove, an electric stove, just whatever heat source is laying around, electric lighters, all kinds of stuff. If someone were to ask me what kind of lighter should I get, I'm getting ready to go on a long hike or whatever, and I just want to have a lighter in my pocket just to supplement my kit, I would recommend plain ordinary Bic lighter. And even if you are using them 20 times a day, I usually get a few months out of one of these lighters before I have to toss it and get another lighter. And that's not only using it for my bad habits, but also for lighting the wood stove, lighting fires outside, and just doing anything else that requires a lighter. For a survival situation, piezoelectric starter would not be my first choice. My first choice would be a wheel lighter, and in fact, two of them, right? Which is why I have two in that little Ziploc, because shit happens. Historically, fire kits have been small, and they've been absolutely necessary from about 500 years ago back. You know, people would carry a little pouch about this big, and that's all they needed, and that was without big lighters and without ferrocerium. So think about how much you really need to put in your fire kit and how much attention you really need to put into it. I mean, I've just got a couple of alcohol prep pads in there and some fat wood. What you choose to go with is up to you. Anyways, I hope this wasn't too boring. I hope it was informational to some degree, and I hope maybe you learned something or you got an idea. And if you don't have an emergency fire maker, go to Walmart right now, $2. Get you a 7-pack of Scriptos, toss these in a drawer, or open this up, put one in your glove box, put a couple in your house, put one in a desk drawer, stick one in a coat, wherever. Just hide them everywhere, and always know where at least one of them is. Always have one of them on you, because you never know when you're going to need to start a fire. And this is the easiest way to do it. This is like the high point of technology. After 70,000 years of working with fire, this is what we've come up with. So use it. Don't overthink it. They're cheap. Buy them. That's all the time I got for you guys today. If you like this video and you want to see more of this kind of shit, then don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be in touch. We'll be doing some other videos real soon, but first, I gotta go sight this guy in. So I'll catch you later.